I need you to hate so I can use you for your energy.
This is Real Sales Talk. Real sales advice from real sales practitioners. Giving you tips on how to dominate your sales quota are your co-hosts, Sean Mitchell and Phill Keene. This episode is brought to you by Convertist. We are incredibly excited to have partnered together with Convertist, which helps SaaS and services run managed outbound campaigns for teams looking to drive new pipeline opportunities. For teams targeting mid-size and enterprise deals, Convertist integrates with CRMs like Salesforce to uncover actionable data in their sales processes, which enables them to find areas of improvement and double down on strategies that actually work. Benchmark the lead generation performance expected of a seasoned SDR and identify actionable areas of improvement in a sales process, all out of one place with Convertist. For teams looking to measure and enhance their performance of their sales funnel and architect a better revenue engine, cast an application to join the Convertist Slack group. It's at convertist.com/Slack. That's Convertist, convertist.com/Slack, SLACK. What's going on, everyone? It's Real Sales Talk. We have Sean, we have Phill, and we have, who is this? This is Henry Johnson, OG Real Sales Talk co-host. Henry, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Sean. Thanks, Phill. Appreciate you guys having me back, man.
So we're going to do kind of like a full circle episode. You know, we had you on last year, Henry, to talk about biz devin through Instagram, and I wanted to bring you on again to kind of reminisce a little bit, because we've got some big news for our Real Sales Talk audience. Phill and I have been busy with our new ventures, our new companies, and you know, we've been talking about how challenging it is and how much more we want to get done. In order to do that, we've got to cut some things out. So season 10 will be our last season, and it'll be actually our last episode will be episode 100. So it's a little bit of bittersweet process, but I think I don't know, Phill. What are your thoughts on that? I think it's been a good run, and we've had a lot of great memories, and Henry too. We've had a lot of fantastic people on the show, but there's some other things that we want to do, right?
Yeah, it's definitely been fun. We've met a lot of amazing people, Henry, myself, and you all included. We met amazing people, so I think that's been great. And then the Real Sales Talk family, like, you guys are awesome advocates and reach out to us all the time. Love to connect with you guys. Still want to connect with you.
Yeah.
So continue to reach out. And hey, maybe it's not forever. Sean and I have talked about some other things in the secret private turn off the camera area. So maybe there's some things that could happen here in the near future. But right now, at least a hiatus. So
yep.
We're practitioners at heart, and I think that's where our passion lies. So some of it's we got to focus.
I mean, when you're really going full on with your business, it's consuming, and when you have other things like this that are you know, in the beginning, when Henry and I started this, it was like awesome opportunity to kind of build a brand, build a name, meet awesome influencers in the industry. But you know, as our careers evolve, so do our schedules and our need to invest into other things.
How long has it been now, Sean?
It's going to be 2 years. It's going to be 2 years, beginning of 2018. So we will finish this season 10, probably sometime at the end of December, I would imagine. It depends on how quickly we fill up. So this is episode 7, this one that we're recording right now. So we've got 8, 9, and then the 10th episode of this season is going to be an awesome one. We've got 2 of our favorites and 2 powerhouses in the sales space. We're going to have them both on at the same time. It's going to be awesome. We're going to keep it a surprise until episode 100, just to keep you in suspense. But it's going to be rock solid.
Definitely, awesome. Definitely excited about it too. Like, I keep talking about it, so I'm pumped.
Yeah, we would have done the recording sooner, but I totally I totally spaced it, and you, Phill, and the other two were probably on the call. Like, where is this guy? This is a guy who started the podcast. He's not even showing up to the recording of the last episode.
Right. And that's what I told Sean. I was like, I can't record the last episode of that. Like, I just can't do it. So we had to reschedule.
Yeah. So we're gonna jam, the three of us, and we're gonna talk. We're gonna probably throw in some good memories of the last 10 seasons, and we're also gonna talk to Henry about what he's been doing to grow his business. Sales is running a business. Business is running sales. Generating sales. So I think there's going to be a lot of relevant examples that Henry can give that will be applicable to everyone who's listening, which is, how do you generate business? Where do you generate it from? Henry, when we had you on last time, you talked about Instagram, it going down in the gram. But where's it going down right now? Where are you seeing stuff happen? And where's business popping? Where are you generating new leads?
Yeah. So as Gary Vee would say, right, everywhere I'm trying to, right, I'm going every place I can. So it's still going down in the gram. I'm still doing the cold calls and all that kind of stuff. But something new that I've really added is a lot more in-person events. And that's been really good for me in just meeting a lot of people in the community, obviously doing what we want to do and closing some deals. So it's been good.
So I love the face-to-face handshake, like get to know you, build a relationship. I mean, how do you start? So I know I have a technique that I actually use, and I learned it from recruiting in the fraternity world back in the day, like 10 years ago now. I'm old. Not as old as Sean though, so it's fine. But yeah, that gave I have a technique, but do you have a technique of how you just open up conversation and start building rapport and build a relationship?
Yeah. So 100%. So like you, I kind of learned mine from another world. I used to do events, like networking events. So you approach it the same way I did when I had my group of networking events. And I walk up to people. Everybody there is trying to meet people, right? So first off, it makes it a lot easier than just like approaching somebody randomly on the street. So I walk up. I'll say hi to them. Introduce myself. But something that I try to do that I think separates me from everybody else is like I don't just go like, what do you do, right? Because what I find is like a lot of times is, especially in like regular networking events, is once people say, okay, I do this, and they realize there's no connection, they just separate right now. Okay, there's nothing here. But so I'll start with where you from or something of that nature, so we can try to find some kind of mutual connection. Because if they may not do anything, they may be a dentist, right? And I'm in smart homes, but if I say I'm in smart homes, they say I'm a dentist, we may both go, all right, we're going to go the other way. But now we may start with where you from? We go, oh, we're both from New Jersey. We connect on that. And then eventually we get to what we do, and they go, oh, I want to do that to my house, right? So I think it just creates a bond prior to like doing the pitch, right? It's the whole, build rapport before you try to sell somebody something, right? So I think it's really good. And so it's from the fraternity world, but the game is always screw them, F them, and get the digits. Was the game you'd play, and it came from there's a recruiting training firm called Fired Up that does this and trains like every national fraternity there possibly could imagine. But screwing, if you actually put your hand out, the person's screwed. They have to shake your hand. Like putting out your hand, like they look super awkward if you put your hand out and they don't shake your hand back. So you're just, hey, I'm Phill, or hey, I'm Henry, or hey, I'm Sean. Like they're going to shake your hand and introduce themselves, no matter what. Like it's going to happen, otherwise they feel awkward. And then effing somebody is asking F questions. So where are you from? And then in the fraternity world, it was always like, tell me what you want to do in your future. But for you, it's like, hey, what do you do for work? Right? Because what are you doing currently? Or hey, tell me about your family. Like I'm from the Midwest. We love to talk about family. Like that's 90% of the reason why our life actually exists. So it's, hey, tell me about your family. Like, do you have kids? Do you have what's your deal? And we talk about, hey, where'd you go to school? So it's more like the past, that game. So it's all the words that start with F. Like, tell me what you and your friends do for fun. Like, what's that look like? Those are the types of questions you ask. Like, people are comfortable asking it, but it usually starts building the rapport and building bond. And then getting the digits is more around
we used to always play the game. Hey, you got a phone, man? What kind of phone you got? Great. Hey, I'm gonna text you, man. Just let me stay connected with me. It's like the ability to do that, and I always do that on LinkedIn. Like, hey, you got LinkedIn? Oh, great. Hey, connect me real quick on LinkedIn. I don't ever carry business cards, but why don't we connect on LinkedIn? Let's grab coffee sometime. And I throw the offer out there. So that's always the game I play. Like if I could build a real rapport and do it, and there's no agenda behind it. Like I just have a technique to doing it. So I love that. Love to hear how other people do it. Real Sales Talk family, want to take a quick break just to say thank you to our partner Convertist. If you're interested in improving your game to drive leads, opportunities, or closes, join the Convertist Slack group, a place where sales and marketing operators can talk best practices to architect a revenue engine. Cast an application at convertist.com/Slack. That's convertist.com/Slack. Now let's get back to the episode.
No, that's good. And so I'll take that one a little further too. Something I do is like if I find something like two people have something in common that I've met throughout, I'll bring them together so that I'll be like, oh, you should meet this person, right? And I'll bring them together because it gives me even more credibility, right? Then now to both of them, I'm like this awesome guy. Maybe they have an awesome connection. So I think just building genuine like bonds with people helps build sales, and it's helped me in this. So.
Yeah, another thing that came out of the fraternity world that I used to have. So if you have if you have a conversation with somebody and you use their name 5 times in the conversation, every time you use it, your likelihood of remembering their name the next time goes up like exponentially. So there's a manual for the fraternity I was a part of that actually tells you how to be a gentleman. And the whole idea is like you have to use their name, you shake their hand, you look them in the eyes, and if you use their name 5 times, you're likely to remember it. So like that just kind of is something that was drilled into me of like, hey, you have to do it. But it was, hey, Henry, that's great to understand that. Like, hey, Henry, tell me what you do for fun. Like, like the sweetest word in the English language is always your name. So when you say it out loud, people love it, and they get it helps build rapport.
I like that.
I think I've been experiencing this as well, trying to build my network in Denver. I'm only 2 years into Denver. Lived in Colorado Springs, an hour south of Denver, so didn't really have a great network. And I've been trying to grow that and meet new people and connect other people to other people as a way to pay it forward and stay memorable. And sometimes it's not what that person can do for you or what you can get out of that person, but sometimes it's matching two people, and then somewhere down the line, that's going to come back. And so I think I've mentioned this. Maybe I haven't on an episode. So one of the communities that I really have been intentionally trying to get more involved in is the Tesla community. I own one, and it's a great way to meet new people in those circles. And so I started to attend these clubs, the Denver Tesla Club, and I showed a lot of enthusiasm, apparently, because the 2 people who were running it eventually approached me and said, hey, do you want to kind of take this thing over? It looks like you're pretty excited about this thing. So now I'm actually organizing the events. I'm organizing events for Tesla owners. We did a Halloween costume Halloween party. Next weekend we're doing a white elephant at a winery. And then we're going to be doing some road trips out to different places in Colorado. But those sort of things I think are kind of in line with what we want to talk about today, which is getting face to face with people and connecting with people. So, Henry, I'm going to kick it back over to you. Talk about some of those events that you've coordinated, because I think I've seen some like where you've done actual events at maybe your facility and you showcase what you do. So maybe talk about that. If that's not relevant, talk about some of the other events that you've planned and coordinated.
Yeah, so it's been both for me. I've coordinated some at my facility. So I've done, I think, 3 at my facility, and I was just doing them monthly. And essentially, I would go on Instagram, right? I had built these, I was following a ton of people, like contractors in the industry, like builders, kitchen and bath people, architects, real estate salespeople, etc. I'm following a bunch of them on Instagram. Some of them were following me back, some of them weren't. But I knew that these were the people that I wanted to connect with. I just thought of it from the perspective of, and I think I'm going to talk about this at some other point on Real Sales Talk, is what can I bring to the table that makes them want to meet me? Because I feel like a lot of times people just call you like, hey, do you want to buy my thing? Do you want to buy my thing? Do you want to buy my thing? I was like, how can I get them to come to me where I get more time to talk to them about buying my thing, right? So what I figured is builders are always looking for like subcontractors if they're busy, right? Or if they're not, they're looking for somebody who is looking for subcontractors so they're not busy. So I was like, if I just bring them all together, then they're coming for each other, and I'm just like the gravy on top, right? So I did that. I did that event originally, and I just went around. Everybody wanted to know me because I'm hosting the event, right? So everybody has to know me. I get everybody's email address, etc. And through talking to people, I realized who makes sense for me to connect with further, or who I can at least help in the short term. And through that, I've been able to find other events that other people were hosting that were larger sometime than mine. And I've been able to find deals from it as well. So it's been really good. One thing I'll say is like, because I've been approaching it from like a more like marketing and branding perspective, right? I did 3. The first 2 were completely like that. It was just everybody just gets together. We're gonna chat, right? Nobody's pitching each other. And then I did one that I did like a little sales pitch at the end, and people were like, yeah, Henry, you should do that more. A few people, because they know me, right? They were like, you're doing this good deed. You should get something out of it. But it didn't feel, sometimes things don't feel right. You know what I'm saying? So like, as much as I maybe got my name in front of some people, it was like throwing the right hook too early. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think I'm going to do that anymore. I think I've been to other people's events. Nobody does that. You kind of just put flyers out or something on the table and let people kind of come to it on their own. I think it makes more sense that way, and you'll get a bigger audience. And I think at the end of the day, right, you want the attention. So that's kind of what I'm going at.
Yeah, and I've done a few events here locally. Kind of same thing as I want to build a sales community here in Indianapolis. I'm passionate about that, and there is some indirect channel that goes into it for the company I work at. But that the idea is like I want to build this community. I believe that when you build a sales community, especially a tech sales community, like that's how you grow a tech community. So I'm deeply passionate about that. So I bring these people together. And kind of the same thing, like it doesn't feel organic when you start pitching. It doesn't feel like you have an agenda, and people can call that and they sniff that out. But I love your idea. Like you talk about, like, that's why I asked if you have a technique. Like, how do you get into this conversation? How do you build this event? Like you put people together, and there's probably in an event you put together like 5 to 10 people that are advocates of you already.
Mm-hmm.
Like, get those 5 people to talk to 5 other people. Like they're going to keep advocating. Like, yeah, Henry, he put this event on. He's a great guy. And then I actually do, if you want to play a game with the audience, a lot of times the networking event is there to be that, to network with people you don't know. So I always play a game. It's called Let's Make It Awkward. And people always laugh, but it's, hey, look around the room and make eye contact with the person you don't know. I want you to talk to that person you don't know. And ultimately, these people that are your advocates are going to go talk to people you don't know and they don't know, and you're building your network the same way. So that you have a way as a person to go approach them and go talk to them. But at the same time, like you're getting people together that need to talk. Like there's something to talk about. They're probably in the same profession of some sort. So that's always a fun game. So your next event, play Let's Make It Awkward and make them talk to each other.
I think it's a great idea. I do think it's a great idea, and kind of going off like what you were talking about with the sales community, right? It's the same thing as what I'm doing here. Is like sometimes there's nothing for me directly. Like there's nothing for your company directly. But as you build this community, it long term, like you're saying, Sean, it comes back. And there may be some short term like slight wins, right? Like my first event, I did it, and I had met this guy on Instagram already, but we had never met in person, right? So then we met in person. We're talking. He's like, "Yeah, I saw this post you did about like kitchen and bath like remodels. Like you should put the speaker in there, whatever." It's like, I got a small one. Like, do you want it? It's like $1,000 project, right? I didn't make much money on it, but now I'm his guy. You know what I'm saying? Like anytime he's got that, and I was putting together a whole list of like whenever he's doing the kitchen and bath remodel, he's like, "Henry, throw me like your list of things, and after when I'm selling to somebody, I'll have them check it off, right? If they want, They want hide their cable box, et cetera, right? A bunch of things that we do. But that would have never happened if I didn't meet him in person. And at least in this industry, it's a lot less like take meetings, right? Like people aren't like taking meetings as much, like because a lot of these guys are actually doing the work that they're selling. So they're a general contractor. They get a deal, a sale. Somebody wants to remodel their kitchen, and they go do the work. So they don't have time to like meet me for coffee.
Right.
So these events are like their only real time to like meet people a lot of times, and that's been huge. That's been huge for me in terms of growing.
So let's kind of spin this kind of outwards. Think about our audience here. Let's say we've got a sales rep who's looking to generate new business in his or her city, and they do B2B. What are some ideas, you two, on how he or she, the sales rep listening here, doing B2B, can start to generate new business? Like, are we talking events? Are we talking like sports games? Like, what are some things that we can kind of give to our listeners where they can be like, okay, this is a fantastic idea. I'm going to implement that tomorrow.
So I'll jump in quick first, and then Phil, I'll let you hop in. But I mean, so I think with events, I think with anything, like I think it's consistency is huge, and making it so people just expect something at a certain time, right? So let's say, so for one example, there was this guy when I was at Zerto, right? That was a big part of how people got business, was through events. And you could do, events sponsored by the company, but you could, like, some people also did some of their own, and they were sponsored. The company paid, but like they weren't exactly like Zerto pitches. So one guy, I don't think he was a Zerto rep, but he worked with the Zerto rep. But what he would do is he was in North Carolina, big Panthers, area. So he did tailgates every Sunday for the Panthers game, and he'd send it out to his prospects. So every time the Panthers played, these guys knew they could come to this tailgate, have a blast with this guy. Now this guy's building a relationship with these people, and that helped. And he was the number one rep in his company. So I think that's one way to think about it, is not always thinking like, how can I get people in the room and like give them a explicit pitch, but how can I get people in the room, build some kind of like connection with them that we can have more discussions later. Right, so that's how I would look at it.
Yeah, so I think the same thing you're saying there. It's you got to be memorable. So he's the guy. He's like, yeah, that's the guy that always does those badass tailgates. Like people know him for that thing, and I actually picked that up from my dad. My dad always wears a cowboy hat. My dad's into old Western movies, so he does all the. My dad's been in sales for like 30 some odd years. Like, probably learning that now. Like he's been in sales for his whole life, and always has a cowboy hat on. Period, like all the time. So he runs into people all the time, like. They're like, oh yeah, you're the guy that wears a cowboy hat. Like, yep, that was me. Like I picked it up. Like they remember him for that